The throne room of Judah was in chaos. Servants whispered in fear, guards stood on edge, and the people outside the palace dared not speak her name too loudly. Athaliah, the queen mother, had done the unthinkable. But to understand how she got there, we must go back to the beginning, when she was just a princess, a daughter of Israel's most wicked rulers. Athaliah was the daughter of King Ahab and Queen Jezebel, the infamous rulers of Israel. Ahab was powerful, but Jezebel was even more dangerous. She worshipped Baal, a false god, and led the people away from the Lord. She silenced the prophets of God and filled the land with idols and wickedness. Growing up in such a household, Athaliah learned how to rule with cruelty, deception, and ambition. She believed power was something to be taken, not given. So when she married Jehoram, the prince of Judah, she carried her mother's wicked ways with her into the southern kingdom. Jehoram became king after his father Jehoshaphat died, but instead of following in his father's footsteps, he ruled like Ahab. He killed his own brothers to secure his throne, worshipped idols, and led Judah into sin. And by his side, encouraging him, was Athaliah. For 8 years Jehoram ruled, and then suddenly he fell terribly sick. His body wasted away, and in pain and disgrace he died. His son Ahaziah, Athaliah's son, became king. But his reign was short. He followed in his father's wicked ways and made an alliance with Israel, which led to his downfall. While visiting his relatives, he was killed by Jehu, the man who had been chosen by God to wipe out Ahab's family. When Athaliah heard that her son, King Ahaziah, was dead, she saw an opportunity. Instead of mourning, instead of stepping aside, she did something no other queen had done before. She killed her own grandchildren. One by one, she ordered the royal children to be slaughtered, her own flesh and blood, so that no one could challenge her rule. The people of Judah were horrified, but no one dared to stop her. And so Athaliah seized the throne of Judah. For 6 years she ruled with an iron fist. She brought Baal worship into the heart of Judah, built temples to false gods, and tried to erase the line of David, the very family God had promised would one day bring forth the Messiah. She thought she had wiped out every royal heir, but she was wrong. Unbeknownst to Athaliah, one child had survived. His name was Joash, and he was only a baby when the massacre happened. But by the grace of God, his aunt Jehosheba, a woman of courage and faith, rescued him. She and her husband, Jehoiada, the priest, hid the child in the temple of the Lord. For 6 years, Joash grew up in secret, safe within the house of God. He was the last hope of David's line. And then, when the time was right, Jehoiada made his move. The people of Judah were tired of Athaliah's wicked rule. They longed for a king from the line of David, a ruler who followed the ways of the Lord. So Jehoiada gathered the priests, the Levites, and the commanders of Judah. They brought the child Joash out of hiding and anointed him as the rightful king. The people rejoiced. They clapped, they cheered, they blew trumpets. "Long live the king!" they shouted. Athaliah heard the noise and rushed to the temple. When she saw the boy standing there, crowned and surrounded by loyal guards, she tore her clothes in fury and screamed, "Treason! Treason!" But it was too late. Jehoiada commanded the guards and they seized her. The people, once too afraid to challenge her, now stood united against her. They led her outside the temple and executed her near the city gate. And just like that, the wicked queen was gone. Athaliah's story is one of greed, destruction, and a hunger for power that led to her downfall. She tried to erase God's promise, but God's plans cannot be undone. Even when darkness seems to take over, God always preserves a remnant. He protected Joash, restored the throne, and proved that no evil ruler can stop his divine plan. Athaliah thought she had won, but in the end, it was the hand of God that had the final victory. So the question remains, what kind of legacy will you leave? One of faith or one of destruction?